Yeah.
What you think about that?
He didn't do it.
Just like that, in very clear words, Charleston White declared David innocent, and he backed it up with proof no one saw coming. The evidence he revealed shocked audiences, flipping the entire case upside down and leaving people questioning what they thought was fact. When news first broke that a body had been discovered in a Tesla registered to rising music star David, the internet instantly spiraled into accusations, outrage, and chaos. Headlines painted him guilty before a trial even existed. Fans debated whether his lyrics were confessions, while brands cut ties overnight. But in the middle of this storm, one voice cut through: Charleston White. Known for being brash, controversial, and unapologetically unfiltered, Charleston stunned everyone when he declared the 20-year-old artist wasn't guilty at all. In his eyes, the lack of an arrest was the clearest proof of David's innocence.
Listen, hold on. If they find a dead body in me and your car, and this is our car, do you think they'll let me and you stay out like long? They got out. So think about this.
It wasn't just talk. Charleston doubled down with logic he called undeniable. He argued that in America, especially for young black men, arrests happen on far less evidence every day. If cops had solid proof, David would already be behind bars. They arrest with way less evidence, Charleston said. They'll put him in jail just to hold him. To him, the silence wasn't negligence. It was proof the case was weak. Charleston pointed out that everyday people are locked up instantly if a body is tied to them. The fact David was still free, still touring, still online gaming, screamed louder than any rumor. And he didn't stop there. Social media was overflowing with speculation. Matching tattoos, leaked photos, song lyrics fans swore were confessions. Charleston dismissed it all, calling it too neat, too perfect of a setup. To him, the story simply didn't add up. How could a black artist supposedly tied to a missing 15-year-old girl, with a body linked to his car, still not even face detainment? That silence wasn't incompetence. It was proof he might not be guilty at all. Charleston pressed harder. The body wasn't just discovered. It was hidden, dismembered, concealed in a way that suggested extreme planning.
And I know they said, man, he wrong for calling her a little hoe, but she was. Little girl don't run away from home, little hoes and little...
Was David really capable of that? Or was someone else behind it, leaving him as the fall guy? They got all this evidence to say he did it.
So you mean to tell me OJ was found with a bloody glove, he was arrested immediately? Immediately, with all the circumstantial evidence they found on OJ, they placed it. So you mean to tell me they got all of this on this and he still get to move freely amongst America?
And still no arrest? Charleston asked. His words split the internet. To some, he was defending the indefensible. To others, he was finally saying what they'd been afraid to admit. Maybe the narrative wasn't so simple. Charleston didn't just toss out a hot take. He stuck to it, hammering his point over and over. He even pulled the O.J. Simpson card. Not to excuse, but to highlight hypocrisy. If police could lock men up on flimsy clues, why hadn't they done it here, where the evidence seemed far stronger? For Charleston, the answer was obvious, because there wasn't a case. He poked holes in every smoking gun, take the tattoos. Fans latched onto the fact that both David and Celeste shared a similar marking on their index fingers.
So I'm saying, let me think outside the box. Maybe his mama done it. Maybe her mama done it and set him up. Maybe one of them racist uncles or cousins don't like her. Maybe the other boyfriend done it. Maybe the pimp who was sex trafficking her for the last year when she ran away done it.
To Charleston, that wasn't proof of intimacy. It was proof of how thin the story was. A coincidence inflated into headlines. And then came his most explosive line, the one that set critics on fire. Charleston shifted his words toward the victim herself, saying David was being scapegoated. Many accused him of victim blaming. His defenders countered that he was simply asking the public not to swallow one side of the story without question. Either way, Charleston knew his words would sting, and he didn't care. The racial angle became the backbone of his defense. They don't let black men get away with these kinds of crimes, not in America. That sentence echoed across social media. To Charleston, it was ultimate logic. If David had really done it, he wouldn't be free. By this point, Charleston wasn't just questioning the case. He was ripping it apart piece by piece and daring anyone to prove him wrong. His words carried conviction because he knew injustice firsthand. Charleston White's past is as controversial as his present.
If nothing else, put him in jail just to put a hole on him.
A dead body found in your car?
Listen, hold on. If they find a dead body in me.
Born in Texas, he was locked up at just 14 after a fatal altercation. Tried as an adult, he served years before his release at 21. That scar shaped his worldview. The system is quick to bury young black men. After prison, Charleston tried to reinvent himself, creating an activist group aimed at steering kids away from gangs. But quiet redemption wasn't in his nature. By the 2020s, he had become infamous for brutal honesty, wild feuds, and viral antics. He pepper-sprayed streamer Adin Ross's associate live, mocked the deaths of rappers like King Von and Takeoff, and clashed publicly with Boozy Badazz. He thrived on outrage. Some saw him as a truth teller, others as a clout chaser. Either way, people listened. So when he turned his spotlight onto David, it mattered.
Why would they let him walk this freely, only to lose endorsements and sponsorships and cancel shows and not his freedom? In the climate that we're in.
This wasn't a random commentator. It was Charleston White, the internet's loudest provocateur, declaring innocence in a case the public had already judged guilty. Mainstream outlets couldn't ignore him. Suddenly, coverage wasn't just about the Tesla or the investigation. It was about Charleston's defense. Journalists debated whether he was reckless or raising fair points. Fans split into two camps. #FreeDavid versus #Justice for Celeste. Online arguments grew vicious, even spilling into doxing and harassment. The case was no longer just a homicide investigation. It was a cultural battlefield. Brands noticed too. Hollister, Crocs, and other companies that had quickly distanced themselves from David now faced pressure. Should they cut ties fully, or wait to see if Charleston was right and David might be cleared? The uncertainty froze endorsements. Law enforcement, meanwhile, said little. Officially, no arrests, no charges, just an ongoing investigation. Leaks suggested detectives were combing through devices, tracking digital trails, and reviewing hours of surveillance. Some hinted the lack of arrest wasn't proof of innocence, it was strategy. Prosecutors wanted a case airtight enough to survive in court. But Charleston twisted every delay into his argument. If nothing's happening, it's because there's nothing there. And that's the danger of viral commentary. In the online era, it doesn't just react to news, it rewrites it. Millions repeated Charleston's words, some mocking, some agreeing, many saying, "I don't like him, but he's not lying." His defense became its own narrative, louder than official updates. But to understand why Charleston hit so hard, you have to see the deeper connection. For him, David wasn't just another name. He was a mirror. A young black man, branded guilty by headlines before the courts even moved. Charleston had lived that. To him, defending David was defending himself, his past, his worldview. That irony, a man who mocked dead rappers and thrived on controversy, suddenly positioning himself as the voice of justice, made the story impossible to turn away from. Weeks passed. The investigation dragged on. New leaks, rumors, and theories flooded TikTok, Reddit, and YouTube. Fans dissected David's songs like they were crime scene diaries. Lyrics once seen as heartbreak anthems were reframed as confessions. Videos were clipped, slowed down, and captioned with theories. Everyone wanted to solve the case. Through it all, Charleston's voice remained steady. No arrest, no case. The longer the silence lasted, the more powerful his defense sounded. His commentary didn't need evidence. It thrived on doubt, on contradiction, on the public's hunger for a counter-narrative. By the time the dust settled, Charleston White had reshaped the story. He didn't just defend David, he turned the case into a cultural storm, about race, about justice, about who gets to decide guilt in the digital age. For David, the consequences are still unfolding. His career hangs in limbo, suspended between loyal fans and a skeptical industry. For the victim's family, Charleston's commentary only added more pain. For law enforcement, the stakes are higher than ever. If they move forward without airtight proof, his words will come back to haunt them. The case isn't closed, the truth isn't fully known, but one fact is undeniable. Charleston White didn't just comment on a scandal, he rewrote its rhythm. He made David's innocence as loud a headline as the crime itself. And in a world where clicks and clips often matter more than facts, that's a power even prosecutors can't ignore. What are your thoughts on Charleston White's revelation about D4vd? Share your views in the comments, and click the cards on screen for more.